box, and I just slid it in as hard as I could and just hoped I'd get out in front of the six. But I didn't expect the yellow, but when the yellow dropped, my confidence went up. Because I wasn't worried about dirty air, but racing against the 32 early in the race, seeing how bad it was to try to pass on the bottom lane, even though I had superior tires, I was not going to be on that bottom lane. I put myself on the high lane and I cooked it in the restart zone, and I wasn't. I mean, me and Pacey raced me clean. I know there was a point where I don't know if he barely got to my outside. I don't know if I walled him or if he checked up for me, was just cutting me a break. But I feel like he cut me a big break there. Didn't it was just hard racing, and I just wanted to make sure I stayed on the outside lane, and he can do whatever he wants on the bottom, but I'm keeping the top.
Hey, you're able to bring home the race win. But before you send off on your way, any sponsors that think for tonight's race win here at Nashville?
Hell yeah, man! I got NJB Designs on the race car. He's been putting together these sweet paint schemes for me, and I've been annoying the hell out of him, trying to get throwback cars and certain things on the paint scheme. So he's been very patient with me, and he's got me on the track. And man, we've been trying this for 3 years on iRacing, and we got it done, man.
Yeah, well, congrats on your win, and we'll see you next week at Bristol Dirt.
Oh God, I'm glad I got it out of the way now. Have a good one.
Oh. So that is our race winner, Donnie Kite. And we'll bring in our second place finisher, Pacey Wygent. And we seen Wygent. He had the race lead earlier in the race, I believe. For a couple laps here tonight. He had to fight his way through the field multiple times and couldn't find a way around Donnie Kite there towards the end of the race. And after that late race yellow, what do you think he could have done differently, and how difficult was it really to pass? And like, how did the dirty air affect it, if at all?
Well, the incident that happened super early, between a lap car and the leader, damaged my left front and didn't really have anything past 10 laps, due to damage. So, I don't really know if there was anything I could have necessarily done differently there at the end to get by Donnie. He was pretty quick on the long runs tonight, and yeah, I don't know. I guess I mean, he got loose off two once, and I had my nose to the outside, but he tried pinching it off, and I didn't want to wreck him. I know how much a win means to him, especially getting his first one. So, didn't have the heart to potentially put us both in a bad spot. So I lifted and probably gave my chance for the race went away. But I'd rather go down knowing I gave it up, and
Well,
didn't have to wreck somebody
oh.
for it.
Yeah. So you mentioned you had your nose on the outside, and you were always trying to go to the bottom. What do you think the multi really did? Did the outside leaning seem to work on, like, older tires, or like how different? How would, like, did the lanes feel better? Did any lane feel better than each other? Pretty much the whole race, or you were able to use both lanes pretty much the whole race?
The beginning of the race, it was pretty inside dominant. Once the night conditions came, you started to see that second lane, but after about 10, 15 laps, it was almost impossible to pass. You really, really, really had to drive it in deep, and at that point, you drive in so deep, you're just getting crossed over coming off exit. So, both lanes were available for a short period of time. After that, the tires are actually what killed the racing aspect tonight. It wasn't the track conditions at all. But yeah, both lanes were competitive at the beginning of the run.
All right. Well, before we send you off on the way, any sponsors for tonight's second place finish?
Yeah, as always, got to shout out y'all up in the booth for broadcasting. Got to shout out PBR Racing, great team. Bullet as a whole, Rodney for putting this all on. The Fastcast podcast, my fiance, kids, they're always watching, even if it is a day late. But yeah, I think that about does it.
All right. Well, congrats on the second place finish, and we'll see you next week at Bristol Dirt.
All right, thank you.
That was our second place finisher, Pacey Washington. We'll bring in our third place finisher, Kinley Cheney. He seemed very fast. You seemed very fast tonight. Had a very great pace, and you seem a little bit better on the older tires. So really, how the tire wear really work for you, and what do you think? Well, really, how did the tire wears feel? Did it get it really bad, tight, loose? How did it feel?
So the tire wears felt fine. Like I definitely felt like I had the better long run car compared to most people. That race. I mean, it was definitely a little bit tighter. As the run got on, but I don't know. I mean, it felt fine to me. Like I just noticed that like other people were struggling as the race went on and whatnot. So yeah.
So it kind of didn't matter anyways because you had that late race yellow, but during that long run there in that the second stage there, what was your idea with pitting with the pit strategy? You're thinking
Yeah. So that in the second
the
stage.
overcut, yeah. Yeah, the second stage, like the overcut and undercut. What was your idea there? What was your thought process there? Do you want to try and overcut everyone or undercut or just try to pit everyone? Because y'all barely made it down pit road together.
No, yeah. So the plan was because me and Donnie were in a chat. We were like, okay, we got to undercut Nick because Nick, like, he's just really good at defending. So we were like, all right, we're gonna pit like whatever lap it was. We're like, all right, we're gonna pit that lap. And then sure enough, as soon as we're pulling it, Nick is pulling it too. So of course we could get the undercut. And yeah, but that was our plan initially, try and get the undercut on Nick so we could try and pass him because the old tires, like the drop off pace was like about a second and a half. So we figured if we pit, one lap earlier than him, get that speed up and whatnot, like we should be able to pass him and clear him. So that was the plan there. But then obviously Nick pitted with us and then the caution came out and it was just hard racing from there. So definitely fun though all night for sure.
All right. Well, before we sign off anyway, any sponsors like to thank for tonight's third place finish?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
Any sponsors like to thank for tonight's third place finish?
No, nothing. I mean, just thank you for to everybody for running a pretty clean race. It was fun battling everybody from Nick to Donnie to Pacey. So yeah, it was definitely fun tonight. That's all.
All right. Well, congrats on the third place finish, and we'll see you next week at Bristol Dirt.
Heck yeah. Thank you guys.
All right. So it was a great race here tonight at Nashville. Had multiple battles, had late race caution, pit strategy. We already went through our race results. So next broadcast here on the Legends Racing Network, we'll see you Tuesday at Top Tier Racing League in Martinsville Speedway for 300 laps, and we'll be back here next Saturday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, here for the Bolt Racing League at Bristol Dirt for 75 laps. And we'll see you all next time. And so long from Music City. I'm Aaron Brown signing off, and we'll see you next week. See you on Tuesday here on the Legends Racing Network.